Look, I completely get it. I know that some of you weren't very big fans of The Flash. I had certain cringy, actually a lot of cringy moments in The Flash, but one of the cool aspects of it was definitely Michael Keaton's Batman, or the return of Michael Keaton's Batman, and of course, the young lady that we're going to be reviewing right now. I think she did an amazing job in this movie. And, you know, Ezra Miller, I don't know, the dude's got a lot of problems. So you can say that there was a very flawed film, but there were certain aspects that I actually really liked. The cameos, I mean, whatever. Most of them were completely pointless. I don't know what the hell Ben Affleck was doing in this movie, and certainly don't know what Wonder Woman was doing in this movie. She didn't really do much. But again, it's just playing up on this nostalgia factor that people want, team-ups, even though it was, again, completely pointless. Also, I gotta ask about the origins or the identity of the Flash. Was his mom Italian or was she Hispanic? I don't know. Was he Hispanic in the movie? I don't know. Whatever. Well, regardless of whatever the hell Ezra Miller is supposed to be in the movie, I know that Sasha Calle is definitely Hispanic, and it's a real shame that she's not going to be able to reprise her role as Supergirl, because I think she did absolutely amazing, and is one of the better things, or one of the better aspects of that film was her in it. So today we're going to be reviewing Hot Toys' version of Supergirl from The Flash, the 1/6 scale figure. Let's take a closer look. So immediately when I took this out of the box, I was very impressed with it, especially in the head sculpt. That is definitely Sasha Calle. She looks absolutely outstanding. The sternness in the face looks great. The eyes are done amazingly. And I like that they have the purr system, although I don't use it as often as I should. The hair is fantastic, and I'm glad they went with a sculpt instead of rooted. You guys know I'm not a very big fan of that. Overall, this is an amazing head sculpt, and I gotta say, it's very movie accurate, and I guess the camera is not doing it justice in how well it is sculpted and how well they recreated her likeness in this 1/6 scale figure. Truly amazing. Now, throughout the years, there have been several iterations or variations of the Supergirl costume, which my favorite is an amalgamation of what we see in Melissa Benoist's costume and then later on in the series. And I really like this version because it falls in line with the original Man of Steel universe, which is really a great film for me. And of course, it has that brilliant S, which of course means hope for the House of L. Absolutely outstanding color palette, and if you notice, the suit is very textured. The striations and things that are perforated there look really great. I'm a really big fan of what they did here. Now, the lower section is equally impressive, and I like that you can have a lot of malleability in this suit. So as you can see, I have her slightly levitated as we see in the film, and just look at how textured this is. Truly amazing. The striations along the side, along with the toggles, look really fantastic, and of course, I have her just kind of levitating off the base, which is really awesome. There is a great ball joint system in this costume that allows it to be very malleable, and if you notice, I have the foot kind of slightly leaning to the left. Overall, the illusion is done very well, and I love how I pose this. Now, you're definitely going to want to mirror this piece because there's a lot going on the reverse side. The head sculpt, or the hair sculpt I should say, is done very well, and you can see the individual strands. Again, I'm so glad that they did an actual sculpt. Now, they did something very interesting with the cape. At the top of it, where the rear deltoids are, it seems like they kind of like plastered it to the actual figure, and then it fans out very nicely, and as you can see, there's some great wire mesh, probably the most kind of extensive and most complex wire mesh that I've seen in this, so you can get some really dynamic poses, as you can see. I definitely recommend that you mirror this piece because it looks amazing on the reverse side. Now, I'm definitely a huge fan of this base. It just looks really freaking cool. The color palettes are really great. It has a nice kind of like platelet where it's this super red, and then of course it has the blue at the bottom, but most importantly is the actual logo. I'm glad that they had the S, and if you notice, it's actually perforated, and it's a direct recreation of what we see on her actual chest, which looks really amazing. And of course, on the lip of the base, it does read SuperGirl, which looks really great, and it does have another awesome feature. So I turned off the lights because I wanted to give you a light show, and this base does light up using a USB-C type, I don't know, type C, BBB, whatever the hell. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's a USB to type C, and it just looks absolutely outstanding. And it really, really kind of changes the dynamic in terms of how to pose this thing. And it's actually pretty bright too. I have to mention that most of these LEDs are not very bright, but this one is super bright. It's gonna look really great. It's a nice little centerpiece. If you dim the lights and just light this bad boy up, it's gonna look absolutely outstanding. Now, as I mentioned before, this figure does come with the purse system, which is really awesome, and it really creates a unique dynamic in terms of how you pose these figures, but you do have to be careful. There is certainly an art to using the purse system, and if you're not very careful or you're not paying attention, you can get some really messed up googly eyes, and it takes forever to try to kind of like center the eyes again so it doesn't look completely idiotic. So just be careful of that. But I do have to admit, I like that we have this option for the purse system, even though I don't use it as much as I should, like I mentioned. And finally, rounding out the last bit of accessories, and this is a pretty simple figure because she doesn't really come with accessories in the film or any kind of weapons. I mean, she is, after all, a Kryptonian. She is a freaking weapon of mass destruction. But you get 6 additional hands for various poses, and even though this is a full rubber body suit, it's kind of an amalgamation of like elastic, not so rubbery, I don't know, it's almost like spandex or lycra, but they did a really good job. A lot of posability here. I just think it's really awesome. So I have to say, this is really weird because not everybody was a fan of The Flash. It wasn't very well received at the box office, and critically people panned it. But again, this is a very popular figure and it's on a wait list right now. And I have to say, because of how unique it is, and sadly because Sasha Calle will probably never play this role again, maybe, fingers crossed, I'm definitely recommending this to be a holy grail piece because it's so freaking awesome. I have been waiting for this piece for a very long time. I was so impressed with this version of SuperGirl. It kept getting delayed, so I'm finally glad to have it in my collection. And if you're a fan of SuperGirl, or just a fan in general of Sasha Calle, this is definitely something you want in your collection. Alright everybody, so that's my official review of a Hot Toys version of SuperGirl from The Flash, the 1/6 scale figure. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Route Desert Reviews.